I wanna see this beautiful city.
We're about to take part in the greatest mass migration in human history. People from every continent have been displaced by climate change.
So this was actually the main part of the house. Most of it was Irma, and then Maria took the rest.
The climate is changing beyond anything manageable.
The people at this table, people from all over the world, crossed many rivers to get here.
During the fire, when we got gridlocked, we were all stuck.
Could hear the propane tank starting to blow up.
Just thinking, this is not how I go. Just brought a baby into this world.
Governments know this is coming, but they aren't building aid stations and immigration centers.
They're building walls and detention centers.
These people's stories need to be told. All of a sudden, the boat capsized, and most of them could not make it. So I saved this boy, and this boy in return saved me.
Where is home now?
What will it be like when we get there?
Where will we be safe?
Will we be welcome?
I'm so proud to sit here and listen to your story. That's what unity is about.
We have to heal the planet. We have to be the medicine.
We invite you to our table. Sit with us and hear our stories. Sit at the welcome table. See that beautiful city. One of these days. One of these days.
Boom! There you go. That was the trailer for The Welcome Table, arriving on HBO Max on June 23rd. I'm KUYA P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things The Welcome Table, I have writer, director, producer, award-winning filmmaker. Let me give him his props. Let me brush off those shoulders for you virtually, Josh. I got the one and only Josh Fox. How are you, sir? How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Definitely, sir. So, let me tell you, I'm a filmmaker myself, more on the narrative side. I have a lot of friends that are documentarians. I live in the DC area, so there's a lot of documentarians here because there's a lot of things, a lot of issues that we're all plugged into and we want to cover. So with this, we're targeting the climate crisis and that's in its impact on the people. When this came your way, what was it for you beyond just seeing the TV? And seeing what we're going through and everyone, it's kind of crazy that people aren't waking up to what's happening. So I really appreciate you and your team for putting this documentary together so it can inform, hopefully, and create change. But what was it for you? What plugged you in to want to create this?
Well, thanks so much. Great introduction. I appreciate that. You know, in 2019, when the Donald Trump first administration started to put children in cages and separate them from their families, basically kidnap children, like every ethical person, I was completely outraged and extremely upset. And my father was a infant survivor of the Holocaust, and during that time, he came to America when he was about 10. And 300 family members were killed, and he was separated from his parents quite often during that time, and he was especially distraught about this. And so I went down to El Paso, and that segment is in the film, to interview migrants, and met a woman who had been separated from her two sisters who were like young children, and she had no idea where they were. And you know, I started to think about the wall, and what is the opposite of a wall? And my question really was, what is there a force in this world that is stronger than hate, that is stronger than racism, that is stronger than xenophobia, that is stronger than this authoritarianism that was gripping and still is gripping the United States and around the world? And wanted to figure out what is the opposite of a wall. Because the wall is really just a symbol, right? It doesn't work. You just need a ladder and $200 billion of the new Gestapo, which is called ICE, to enforce that. What is stronger than that? And is there such a force? And I thought about a wall on its side can be a table. And originally I wanted to put the table on the border as a place where people from both sides could come and join and meet. But I didn't want to really deal with only that context of the Mexican-American border. What I wanted to do was something broader, and the concept of the welcome table came to me, was with Dr. Cornel West in the backseat of a rental car at a Bernie Sanders campaign event that we were doing, and he mentioned this concept of the welcome table. James Baldwin had worked on it as a book. And then I was in New Orleans and I saw John Boutté, the great New Orleans jazz singer who is throughout the film doing music and is actually subject to the film as well, an executive producer. And he had a song called The Welcome Table. And I just thought, this is too perfect. And to focus on this idea of welcoming. Welcoming is a virtue. Everyone in this country probably has a welcome mat. But welcoming is a process, it's a virtue, it's a practice, and my thought was, can this be a stronger force? And I still don't know the answer, because the movie shows that it goes all over the world and shows people from displaced by climate change, survivors of climate change, and then we bring them all to that one table in New Orleans where they meet for the very first time and instantly become a community, instantly become a family, instantly have great love and respect for each other. And then we build the table 1,000 feet long and invited the whole city of New Orleans. And that incredible explosion of collective joy that New Orleans is so famous for, that we're seeing a lot of in New York these days, but we're not really used to it in New York. We're used to collective misery. But but this idea of transformative collective action, collective joy, accepting of each other, practicing welcoming, became something that I thought we have to invest in this. We have to talk about this. Telling the story of that question is really what the investigation of this film is about. And it took quite a long time. We had to take a couple of years off because of COVID, couldn't travel, but then it goes all over the world, and the people in the film are absolutely extraordinary. So I'm so happy that the world gets to meet them through HBO.
Gosh, thank you. From a human being to another fellow human being, I love you for that. That is amazing. When things happen, we need to get activated. And for you as a creative, and I love my fellow filmmakers and filmmakers like yourself, my documentarian guys out there, y'all get activated, and then y'all put what the abilities we have to bring these stories to the people. So thank you. Love that. Definitely, sir. So, okay, we're in New Orleans. We've met Cornel in the back of the car. But okay, we got to make this project happen. So you said it's taken a while, obviously for COVID and stuff. So getting all these interviews, you got a lot of amazing people involved with this, a lot of performers, like you said. Oh my God, I'm forgetting Boutté's name. But
John Boutté, legendary New Orleans singer. He wrote the Treme theme song, for those of you who remember that song, Treme.
Yeah, so the mixture of the music, which really grabs you out the front end of this doc, which love that, and performing him, him performing the track, but so the nuts and bolts, pre-pro, getting everyone involved, getting all the speakers in, getting the great music. Can we talk about, once you decided to make this happen, just reaching out? What was that like, that process? And the people that people will see throughout the documentary as they watch it on June 23rd.
Well, I actually also come from the narrative world in theater and in film, and this whole amazing 15-year side quest into documentary starts with the movie Gasland, which was also on HBO, which taught the world about fracking. And my approach to that was as a storyteller. I have the banjo in that movie. I got the banjo in this movie too, a little bit less. But music, I'm a musician. It's such an important backdrop to any emotional experience, especially in cinema, right? But the welcome table is a song, right? John Boutté sings that song at the beginning of the movie. I want to sit at the welcome table. I want to sing and never get tired. I want to see that beautiful city. It's about this vision of heaven, really. It's a spiritual song from the South, and it's about imagining a place where we all belong. And that song can lift the message far better than any words or statistics. And the idea that when we're talking about climate change, we're talking about basically the apocalypse. We're talking about 1 out of every 3 people on the planet having to move because we're losing our homes due to fires, floods, famine, drought, extreme weather, mudslides, landslides, and what is going to carry us through? It's the music, it's singing together, which is what happens at the end of the film. When we built that 1,000-foot long table and had all of New Orleans invited, and 1,000 people showed up, marching, celebrating, second lining with the band all the way through the table, I sort of thought I knew what it was going to look like. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize that the most powerful thing about it was what it sounded like. When 1,000 people were singing that song, a song of welcome, a song of defiance, a song of vision. And in that sound, which I think we capture in the film, is the echoes of all the musicians from New Orleans who play throughout the movie. And, you know, that's a very important cinematic event for me. So, you know, it's all, that's how it all comes together, because I have a great long history with the city of New Orleans. I love it so much. It's sort of a love letter to them, and I know that artistic community of musicians. But also, it's a film that features mutual aid organizations that are doing the work on the ground, right? From the Gasland films to How to Let Go of the World to my work at Standing Rock, it's always about the people who are doing the organizing on the ground, and those are the firefighters, the first responders, the people who are going and trying to help, you know, mutual aid organizations in places of disaster and catastrophe. So focusing on those people, focusing on the heroism of them, you know, led us to all the different stories, the incredible stories that are in the film of some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. And I miss them all the time. I wish we were still hanging out at the table. But that's sort of how it all comes together, is being steeped in that culture, knowing the people, and having an idea like, let's let the music carry us through this one. Let's let this idea of collective joy permeate the film, even though we're dealing with the most difficult circumstances in humanity right now, the biggest challenge we've ever faced as a human race. We can face that with generosity and greed. I mean, generosity and care, not greed and racism and walls and xenophobia, which is the authoritarian and fascist regime that is in power now. We have to outlast that, and the only way we're going to do that is by making ourselves happy while we're doing this. And that's what I'm hoping, you know, the movie inspires. I want to bring the table all over the country. I want to bring that 1,000-foot-long table to 10 different cities in America and all over the world, so that we can have that moment, and also so that we can show that our side is much more fun. We have music, we have tables, we have joy. They have walls, they have guns, they have misery. You know, our side is better and more fun, and that's a better future for us all to think about, even as we know the climate will create enormous hardship for people.
Definitely. Josh, love you for that, man. Again, yeah, you created such a great work of art, but also not just that, it's going to motivate and inspire and push people to activate and create that change. I think we kind of get sideways on my question real quick. So if you don't mind, just finding all the people to speak on it. And for you're talking to a lot of them. I'm very much an empath. I see that you're such an empath as well. I cry so easily now, and that's okay. And that's why I tell all my brothers and sisters out there, it's okay to cry. Let it out. We got to release that, and now just move forward and use that passion that made you cry to do what you need to do. So
it's all right to cry, free to be you and me. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry,
good. No worries. No worries.
Tell me again.
When you're interacting with these people, making these interviews or conducting these interviews, and you're on the ground and the people that are affected, I know it would mess me up. That's why I don't do a lot of documentary stuff, because I would need to be pulled to the side probably every other minute, because it's going to break my heart. So can we just talk about that, talking to the people, being on the ground, going to these different locations that you went to, and then just getting the people involved that we see that will speak throughout the film that you talked to, along with the musicians as well, and how that affected them, and what was that interaction like during the production?
Well, you got to show up with humanity, with your whole heart. You have to show up with a willingness to listen, not just to the people, but listen to also the film. What does the film want? What does this collection of people want? And how do we express that and get out of its own way? Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I find that when you connect, even with my teacher, Anne Bogart, always used to say, the only choice we have at any given moment is to connect or not to connect. And we go through a lot of our lives not connecting, looking at the phone, you know, looking the other way. And this is an opportunity to connect. And I think it is an incredible moment of gratitude. But now that I realize, you know, to make this movie about how we have to practice welcoming, every single one of the people in the movie had to welcome me into their lives first.
Yeah.
So there's this weird string of welcomes that go throughout the film, of people saying, you know, we're in the most difficult time we've ever had. We've lost family members. We've lost our neighbors. We've gone through fires, floods, you know, the most hellish circumstances. And I choose to welcome you. I choose to tell this story. It's an amazing act of bravery. So, you know, when I'm dealing with this, I just have to try to show up and listen and say, you know, I'm here to listen to you. I'm present. And so it's an opportunity to be present. And I think that that's a very important one, just in life. And the whole idea of being present to watch this film, you know, a lot of the times we think about movies about climate change or other great catastrophes as going to be like a burdensome thing to watch. It's going to be taking your medicine, you know, but that's not what this is about. This is about, it's a great drama, but I also think about this movie as a comedy, right? A comedy where a comedy is a comedy because everybody gets married at the end, right? That's what happens in a comedy. And in this movie, that huge celebration at the end is a sort of symbolic coming together in marriage. So it is a film that's born out of tragedy, but like Rebecca Solnit says in her book, it's a paradise built out of hell, and that is the place where you want to be. And if you really feel the things, you can go through them, and you can get to the other side. If you deny it and decide to disconnect, those things are going to stick around forever, and that's not where we want to be. We want to be in a place where we can face reality, and face the opposition, and then find the great love and joy that comes out of that. And I think that that's present and evident throughout the film. It deals with some of the darkest subjects you could possibly get to, but then the music of, people in New Orleans are used to this. They celebrate everything. They celebrate funerals, they celebrate passing, they celebrate the hardship, and they've created the most joyful music that's ever been on the planet. So, it's about taking a note from that culture and that tradition.
Wow. Josh, thank you. When you know how like a lot of times we find our film in post, when you first set out, was the final version of this film what you thought it was going to be at the end? Was there something that you found along the way that changed it, if you will?
Well, I always start with a question, because it has to be an investigation. It can't just be something that I'm dreaming up, right? Because that's just about what I want. It's about trying to listen to the film and trying to listen to the whole of it, but it's an investigation. It's a question, right? So as you go, the question gets deeper, the question gets weirder, the question takes weird side trips and you don't know what's going on. But the minute you answer the question, the movie's over, right? So you have to stay in that investigation. But I think one of the most interesting things about this movie is realizing at one point, in Gasland and in some of these other films, I'm the narrator. I'm like, the central investigator telling the story to you, and realizing that, one question that I ask myself is, whose dream is this, right? And I recognized at some point, relatively late in the process, that this was a collective story, that it wasn't something that I alone could narrate just as me, and that we needed to create an ensemble of narrators. So we asked John Boutté, and sort of he and I kind of do most of the work, but we have the subjects of the film recording the voiceover for the movie. So it's an ensemble telling. It's an ensemble narration. And that I think is very, very unique. I don't think it's ever happened before, but it was a discovery. And the moment we did that, we realized that, okay, we figured it out, right? Like, this movie needs to be a collective story, an ensemble storytelling approach, because no one person can tell this story. This is a story that's happening to so many people all over humanity, and it needs their voices, their writing, their expression, their way of telling. And so you have the narration from Purity Gakuo in Kenya, and Ricardo from Amazon Watch in Peru, and John Boutté in New Orleans, and Chris Obehi, a Nigerian survivor of climate change who then became a famous pop star in Sicily once he was rescued out of a sinking ship in the middle of the Mediterranean. All these voices are combining to tell that global story. So that was one of the big revelations that I didn't anticipate. But I had my suspicions. Like I said to HBO, I said, I don't really know if I'm going to be in this movie. And they were like, oh, no, you have to be in this movie. And I was like, okay, but I managed to find a way to stay true to my instinct, which was that it had to be a bigger thing than me, and I had to kind of get ego out of the way and make sure that it was, the movie had the correct vibe, you know what I mean, and the right musicality of all those different voices. So that's when it all came together.
Love that, Josh. Amazing. Let me remind everybody again, premiering on HBO Max on June 23rd. Come take a seat at the welcome table. Josh, with it again, getting ready to open up on and be made available. Have you already screened this for the participants, and what has the energy been from those that have taken part, and feedback been from once they've saw it, or if they've seen it yet?
Well, it's interesting because only a few of them have seen it, because we needed to verify some facts. But this weekend, before the HBO premiere, everybody's all over the world, right? So it's hard to organize, but we're gonna open it up on Zoom, and it will be the first time that those folks learned and can see what actually happened to each other, right? They told each other their stories on the levee at the table up there. We were up there for 5 days, and they shared their stories of the fires and the landslides and all the hardship that they had gone through. And they told stories of welcoming as well. And yet most of them have not seen the context, maybe a few photographs, maybe what's in the trailer, but it will be the first time this weekend. But you know what's interesting? When you make documentary, I travel all over the place. Like, you know, these prior films were in 50 different states or all over the world. And it's usually the night of the premiere at like a big film festival where all of the subjects get to see the film, and also they're all get to meet each other, right?
Yeah.
And I watched with Gasland Part 2 at Tribeca, we had like 35 people on the stage there, all of whom were like fighting fracking, fighting the oil industry, but from Texas, from California, from Pennsylvania, from Colorado, all over the place. They'd never met. But when I saw them meet each other on the stage, this tremendous outpouring of love and respect and comradeship and camaraderie and community came out, and I thought, this has to be in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the welcome table. It's like we put that moment where the subjects get to meet each other in the film instead of it being like off stage, something like at the premiere. So, yeah, it's a wild thing to watch a group of people who have never met each other, from different economic backgrounds, different countries, different languages, different sexual orientation, different race, become an instant community that fast in just a couple days. And we're all capable of that. And you know what else? We all want that. We all want a place to belong. We all want a place that feels like home, especially, and it's magical when it happens among strangers, right? We see that in great tragedy. I remember, you know, during 9/11 in New York, people were instantly family and instantly community. We're seeing that now with the Knicks winning. We see that in New Orleans all the time with the Mardi Gras and the parades. And collective joy and collective coming together and appreciating our humanity is something that we don't do nearly enough. But I think it's the strongest tool in our bag against authoritarianism and fascism. I think it is what we need going forward if we're going to start to defeat this hate, and forge a better world.
I completely agree. And actually that ties to my last question for you, Josh. What do you hope people take away? I hope people get activated personally. Yeah. Exactly by what you're saying. So if you want to, you know, add to that, what do you hope people take away from the welcome table?
Well, first of all, the great storytelling and the feeling of those people and meeting those amazing people. Meeting amazing, extraordinary human beings can actually change your perception of who we are and what we are. But, you know, we're asking people to do house party screenings. So have, like, at our website, thewelcometablefilm.com, you can sign up to register your screening. We'll send you a screening guide. So we want people to watch it together. And then, you know, my objective is to be in support of what these mutual aid organizations and these political organizations are already doing, right? What is their agenda? How are they fighting back against ICE in Minneapolis? How are we doing ICE Watch here in New York City? And that this film could potentially be like a go-between between people who are not involved and people who are already doing that incredible and important work. You know, I'm there to say, take a look at this and let's really feel the emotion and the inspiration, and then translate that into action. And the way that happens is if we can work with organizers across the country, which we've done with all the other movies, thousands and upon thousands of groups on climate or fracking, or with Awake, the Standing Rock film, you know, touring that. So I want to go on tour. I want to bring the table to at least 10 cities in America. I'm raising money for that right now, but I want to put that table, that 1,000-foot long table in Minneapolis, in DC, and just put it right in everybody's face. Say, this is our side, this is the fun that we're going to have, right? This is the better place to be. And so I want that collective experience, but to get there, I think we need to have people watch the film together, and then whatever their motivations are in terms of how they solve this problem in their own communities, that's what we want to support. That's what I want to support. I want to bring the film to those places, those towns, and say, listen, let's use the movie to matriculate new people into your organizations, get you on that first ladder of engagement, the first rung of the ladder of engagement, and get people inspired to want to join a mutual aid organization or an activist organization or just to vote. There's a lot on the table right now that we are not done yet. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are are not the future of this country. The fascists always lose. Like Woody Guthrie said, you fascists are bound to lose. But we have to figure out what is on the other side of that. And that, I think, is, the question that the film is trying to provoke. Yes, I see love, joy, celebration is stronger than hatred. But, what is going to happen next? And can we spread that and take this moment, which we love to do when it's like a Knicks championship or a big sports moment? Can we take that and realize that it's inside of us, and that we can use that together in ways that will forge a better future? So the movie's an offering. It's a gift to the city of New Orleans, but it's also saying, like, look at these mutual aid organizations, how incredibly heroic and inspiring they are, and get involved, because that's going to be an extremely rewarding and meaningful experience in life. It's the most rewarding to work on difficult things together. So, we got our work cut out for us as far as difficult things, climate change and authoritarianism, but working on that together with joy, with meeting people, with celebration, that is going to be the rewarding path, not to disassociate, but to connect and move forward. So that's hopefully what the film is trying to offer, and I really hope it's resonant for people.
I completely agree. Josh, that is absolutely amazing. So on behalf of myself, my family, my daughter, the future is who I see through. This work is helping provide that future. So I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart and tell you that I love you for that.
Thank you so
much. When you take this to
parents.
DC, I want to be at that table.
I mean,
so
we want to do
middle
it.
Finger across to the White House until that fool is out there.
Listen, I mean, I showed the trailer to Bernie Sanders and to other, and Ben Jealous and Bill McKibben and other great Jim Zogby, other great activists in DC, and they said, we want that table down the National Mall. This was before Trump was in office, but I still think it's possible. You know what I mean? Even if it's green because of all the algae, even if it's like toxic mess down there, I think we can do something to cleanse that toxicity. And yeah, I want to do it. I don't know what is going to happen. I mean, I'm scared of the attacks that are to come. I have to say I am. They're arresting people for meeting together in Minneapolis right now. The Justice Department is coming after people. It's an amazingly bold and brave act that HBO is putting this on. So much props to them and so much gratitude to them. When people are being fired for speaking out, so yeah, I want to bring it all around the world, and that's what I'm trying to do. And yeah, thanks. I hope I see you.
Most definitely. I'll be there to give you a hug, give you a pound, all things. I'll be there with you here in DC, Josh. Thank you so much. Everybody, the welcome table is arriving on June 23rd. Get activated and head over to the welcometablefilm.com. I have the link in the description. As Josh said, he wants y'all to have get-togethers. Everybody, there's going to be information there. Get activated after seeing this. We need this to happen. Josh, again, I thank you for that. I love you for this. Appreciate the time. Everybody, I'm KUYA P, Nerds Rule the World. Now, head over to the welcometablefilm.com. Every link is in the description below. Check it out, June 23rd. It's your boy KUYA P, Nerds Rule the World.